Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Will Cinematics video. Today I'm super excited to review a show that my friend actually recommended to me. Today I'll be reviewing the anime series titled Vivy, Flourite, Eyes Song. A little bit of a long title there. Quick little spoiler warning, I will be going into depth especially on how the show ends. So just watch out for that, because if you haven't finished it or plan on watching it and don't want to get spoiled, leave now. This anime is by far one of the best I've ever seen, ever. It's definitely up there with Naruto and Erased and a lot of other animes that I've seen that I just fell in love with immediately. From Vivy's identity crisis as diva to all the badass fight scenes, this anime definitely knows how to get things done. I love every second of this show. Vivy had such a beautiful transformation from a robot AI to something almost human. If you've never heard of this show, it follows Vivy, an AI, on her mission to make people happy with her singing. Basic gist, she works at an amusement park, and I guess her goal as of now is to get to sing on the main stage at said amusement park. In this first episode, Vivy makes a new friend, another type of AI, but he's from the future. I guess you couldn't really call them friends. At the start, they're more he kind of just appears in her life and is you're gonna help me out. And basically, he's come back in time. His name is Matsumoto, and he's come back in time to warn Vivy of the impending apocalypse and AI takeover that's bound to happen in 100 years. In order to stop this AI takeover, there are certain events in time they must stop. As the show progresses, Vivy stops a lot of events on her way to the 100 years, but none of them seem to stop the AI takeover. I guess the plan was that she stops an event and maybe it just stops the whole thing from ever happening and they can just go on living normally. But every single time she stops an event, another one pops up. This show has double crosses, coups, rebellions, and some of the best fighting scenes I've seen in an anime, ever. These animators definitely worked hard on this show, and you can really tell. As she stops/alters the events, she slowly becomes more human. When the show begins, all she cares about is singing as a songstress AI. It's her job. But over time, she meets a plethora of new AI, new people, and experiences a lot of new things. And she becomes quite more than just an AI. My favorite episode is either the finale or the one where Vivy has to stop Estella and her clone Elizabeth from taking over the spaceship. It was one of the events she has to stop on her way. And now I'm gonna break down the end of the show because that had a lot of my favorite parts. So in episode 6, someone dear to Vivy dies and she shuts down. So Vivy had kind of taken control, was kind of taking the reins and was doing all these missions and stuff with Matsumoto, and she had this whole fighting program downloaded in her that she could fight people with, because I taught her moves basically. And in episode 6, this guy who was actually married to an AI, which is really crazy for the times, I guess. He ends up committing suicide after his AI wife dies it's a whole thing. But Vivy has to kill her to save the day. And when she dies, he kills himself. So basically Vivy has a whole breakdown, and she completely shuts down. And then when she's rebooted, she's brought back, but what's brought back is Diva, this only songstress AI. She doesn't remember anything about Matsumoto or anything. She's basically just here for singing and singing alone. She ends up being really successful at singing. And over the next few decades, she perfects her singing career and forgets all about the mission. In her mind, we get to see two different Vivies. One is Vivy the AI on a mission to save the world, and the other is a songstress.
You want him to do you so much?
The songstress stays in control for a while until episode 9. In this episode, Diva fights Ophelia and Antonio at a singing festival. Ophelia was a sort of younger sister to Diva, this AI they built using her kind of using the base of her, I guess you could say. And she's also a songstress, and she's supposed to perform in the festival, but there's this whole big twist that Antonio, this partner she had, took over her body, shut her down and took her over, and people just thought that Antonio had died because his body there's nothing in there's no sentience to it, but Ophelia was still around, so people thought he had died. But the truth was that Antonio had actually basically short-circuited Ophelia and taken over. Antonio fights with Matsumoto on this roof of this festival for a while. Well, Diva fights Yogo Kakitani. He's this half human, half android. He's the leader of this rebellion group that hates AIs, and he's always getting in the way, and I guess he turns into an android at some point. It was very confusing. I didn't really get it. I probably have to rewatch that part. But yeah, he fights her, and then he gives her this like incurable virus, and basically Diva starts dying. So before dying, Diva performs in the festival, making it like her last performance as Diva. It's like this whole big, like, beautiful song, and at the end of the song, she literally, like, shuts down, but people think it's just, like, part of the performance, like, she just ended the song, and then we see her start up again, but this time, it's Vivy. So, Vivy stays in, like, retirement, I guess you could say, at a museum until, she meets a young boy. So she goes into retirement because she literally, like, lost her ability to sing, because now she's Vivy and not Diva. And Diva was the one who was good at singing, and Vivy is like, has to like refine the singing ability, I guess you could say. And basically she's holed up in this museum. So she meets this young boy, and after meeting him, she plans to write an original song. Something an AI literally has never done before. It takes her years, like literal like decades, but she does it. Once she does this, she realizes she can't sing, and she doesn't know how to sing like she used to. And I just have to say, when it comes to the show and time passing, they do a really good job of showing that. Vivy always stays the same. I mean, she changes as a character, but for the most part she stays the same, but the people around her, like the human people, are constantly changing. It's like, we'll see Matsumoto like come back in an episode, it's like, oh wow, hey Vivy, it's been like 30 years, and Vivy's like fine with that, but like, it's just like, you as the watcher, you're like, oh my god, it's been 30 years. That's like a fraction of a human lifetime, you know? Basically, the worst happens, time runs out on this 100-year plan, and the AI apocalypse starts. All these AI just like start turning on people, like killing them in any ways they can, like really graphic. And they're all singing this song, but it's like really out of tune. It's all like creepy. It's like da 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 da. It's all like creepy song. And then long story short, Matsumoto and Vivy lose the first time. So this first time, they try to fight like this big, almost like boss AI, I guess you could say, that started this whole thing, and like all the AI just like roaming in the streets shooting people. And they lose the first time. They like don't make it in time for like the end of the world. The good thing is though, they get a do-over. So the guy who's actually the little boy from the museum, he's the scientist who sent Matsumoto back in time, all the way back when. And basically this scientist has a time machine type thing. That's how he sent Matsumoto back in time the first time. But he sends Vivy back, just like I think a couple days or maybe like a couple hours, just back to like right when the AI apocalypse starts, to like get a do-over. It's revealed in the finale that the way to stop this big apocalypse is for Vivy to sing her song. So then she does. As things crash around her, she sings her beautifully crafted song. By the way, guys, this show has great music. I totally suggest it. If you're into like music anime, I guess, because it also just has some really good music along the way, because, you know, she's a songstress AI. Anyways, Vivy sings, and then we see all the AI like start to shut down. All these blue sparkles show up, and they're all like shutting down, because, you know, she's singing the song, which is like the key to stopping everything. And then she stops like all these satellites from raining down in Japan, except one makes it through, and it lands on the stage that she's singing on, and she's presumed like dead in any way like an AI can be dead, like kind of like destroyed beyond no return kind of thing. Before she gets crushed by the satellite, the song shuts down all AI, so that means herself. So as she's singing, she literally like starts to shut down. She's like on the floor singing. The last thing we hear her say is thank you for listening, everyone, which is like a really great ending to this show. The show cuts to the credits, and we think it's all over, like the show's over now, whatever, until we see, I guess you could call it a post-credit scene. And here, Vivy is shown with much shorter hair and is asked to like sing for a crowd, and then that's how it really ends. This show is by far one of the best I've ever seen. I highly recommend you watch it like now, like literally like right now. Just stop what you're doing, go watch it. That's it for today. Please watch Vivy, because it's definitely worth your time. I think you can find it on most popular like anime streaming websites and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely worth your time. And if you have any show recommendations, anime or not, let me know in the comments, because I am happy to review literally anything you guys throw at me. Like literally anything. Just throw it in the comments and I will check it out and then I'll review it. But yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next time. And as always, please remember to like and subscribe.